Hello, I'm Mary V. Today, let's talk about how to choose a violin that's right for you. So I was recently handing my violin in to be repaired, and when I was in the shop, I had a chance to look around at all these gorgeous violins hanging up, and I started thinking, how do you choose a violin just from looking at them or just the price? But one advantage of going to a violin shop is that not only do they have a nice variety, modern, medium and quite old ones, it's that they'll have a look at the violin that comes in and they'll make sure it's got a nice set of strings. A nice bridge makes such a difference to the sound, and that everything is in order with the violin, no cracks, no whatever, so that when you actually end up trying it, you've got a very, very good chance of kind of hearing what the potential of this violin is. Because don't forget, when you eventually do take a violin, it may have a very, very wide, heavy neck like this violin. I know that I can have that shaved down and made much smaller and lighter. You can change strings, which makes an enormous difference to the sound of a violin. So any little cracks or anything, they can be repaired. But don't forget that adds quite a lot to the cost, any improvements that you want to make. So you got, every violin is so different. That can be rather difficult to sort of keep your ears fresh and hear what the differences are and whether you like it. But I think the major question you have to ask yourself after the whole cost thing is, do I love the sound? Is this a sound that is better than my old violin, if it's a violin you're getting to kind of upgrade? Is this something I can live with and actually gives me a depth of sound and opportunity that I never really thought of? It's so exciting, it's fantastic. Something I can live with and develop with. That's really the question you should ask. And but let's go back to trying out violins and how to do it. Supposing at your price, there are, say, 5 violins in the place, and you thought that you wanted a nice old violin, but in fact, when you pick up a modern instrument, wow, I love that. So do keep an open mind about what you actually want. When you've got a nice big choice, try them all, So how to try them? It's a great idea to take your own shoulder rest, because even if violins are set up really nicely, they're so different in feel. Each violin is so individual feeling that because it's uncomfortable, you might think, oh, I don't like that violin so much. So if you say you've got 5 violins and they're all very, very different, take your time. They'll take you to a room and you'll be able to try them. And try to play very simple things and the same thing on each violin, just quite quickly. And really, it should be pretty obvious about the sound. Think about the sound that you're hearing. That's why don't play one violin for a long, long time and then the next violin for a long time. No. Keep your ears very, very fresh. So play something like, so simple. Just play open strings and maybe a D major scale, something like that. The ring on this violin is fantastic. Tells me immediately it's nice and open. It's absolutely lovely. So then try. Well, it's absolutely so even between all the strings, which is fantastic as well. And then just try a nice little D major scale. Right, so I do notice that where first position is and third position is very peculiar. It's not, it seems to be in a different place, so my fingers would take quite a long time to get used to that. That doesn't bother me. Your fingers can get used to anything in time, but don't let that put you off. Listen to the sound. See what it's like, what the performance on the G string especially is like. Wow, it's so easy to play, it's amazing. So you have to have a little bit of experience. Try as many violins as you can before you're kind of going to commit to play. You might be able to try a friend's violin, because they're making a nice sound, and you try and say, oh, I love that. You can have that under your ears so that you know what a nice violin sounds like. Do you love the sound? Is it right for you? Do you feel it's giving you something that you didn't have before? Beautiful quality, beautiful undertones and overtones, harmonics and everything that you can hear that makes you absolutely melt. Well, that's a good sign. But let's go to the other way that a lot of people do find violins. And they mention that they want a violin, and someone says, oh, I have a violin. Come and have a look at it. And, oh yes, it's a nice old, it might even be a Stradivarius, all this stuff, you know. And you go and, you know, the violin is an absolute wreck. It's only got 2 strings and the bridge is really bent over, whatever, you know. The thing is, what you can do is look at it. Look at it and see, is it well made? Does it please you? Now, if it's got a lot of cracks in it, right, that's a different thing. But in any case, if it does please you and you think there's something rather nice about this violin, you know, I'd be interested, you can ask the person if you can take it to be evaluated by a repairer, a luthier, a shop. And they have got so much experience in having a look at a violin, being able to tell you what repairs would need to be done and whether they think it's worth the amount of money that's being asked. Because don't forget, the more that you customise your violin, add beautiful new strings, get this sorted out, you know, gluing, cracks, the whole thing. I mean, it can add quite a lot of cost, but it may well be incredibly worth it. You know, if you can spot a really lovely instrument that's simply neglected and in not too bad a shape, go take it to the violin shop and see if they think, yeah, we could look after this violin. I mean, for example, the fingerboard may have great dents in it because of the fingers going down, you know, especially in the first position. So they can smooth that out. It's called reshooting the fingerboard. You can make a neck smaller, you can fix the pegs if they're slipping. I mean, the biggest difference is really the actual setup, the strings, the bridge and the fingerboard. The sound post. And making sure that there are no loose bits, because that can cause quite a lot of trouble in a violin. Ultimately, when you get the violin sorted out, if you feel it has potential, then the journey really begins. That it's the sound. Everything is the sound, isn't it? So that really is, you know, after the price, the only question that you really need to ask yourself is, do I love the sound? I mean, if you're going for something upgraded, you want a better quality and you already have a violin, that's very useful, because if you can take a violin home and try your own violin and then try the new violin and keep going between them. You can keep your ears very fresh. And you can really answer the question, does this give me more of what I'm looking for, more quality, more soloistic sound, more depth, more whatever it is that you're looking for, beauty, a sweetness that, melts your heart. You can start to get familiar with the different types of violins. Stradivarius types, Guarnerius types, modern Germans, beautiful. Chinese instruments are absolutely gorgeous now. And what do you want the instrument for? I mean, for example, this instrument is very nice, very open, very even. It would make an absolutely brilliant orchestral instrument. Because quite often in an orchestra, you can't actually hear what you're doing, only faintly, or sometimes not at all, if you're playing, Beethoven or Rachmaninoff. You can't hear what you're doing. And this instrument is very easy to play and has got a sort of clarity that really helps you. And it's very blendable. I mean, even though it's so clear, you do want an instrument that can blend in. I can't get it. I don't know where the third position is. Yeah, it manages piano really beautifully. No matter how you get your violin, take your time and keep your ears very fresh. And don't spend too much at certain stages. I mean, I remember a good friend of mine, a fantastic player, and had this, his tuning was absolutely centred, absolutely beautiful. And he got himself a really expensive new violin, I mean, incredibly expensive, hundreds of thousands. And it took him, I would say, a good year for his tuning to become as centred and sort of perfect as it had been on his old violin, which is, I thought his older violin was actually more beautiful. But he wanted something that was had a little bit more projection, I think. But it does take quite a bit of time. Certain things you can adjust quite quickly, but to get that centred being in tuneness, where you can really, really count on it, it can take a little bit of time. But there's nothing we can do about that. Our body has to adjust to tiny, tiny little changes. But remember, there's loads we can do to make the violin comfortable. And you've got to take that into account when you're trying violins. They're so incredibly different that, don't look for being in tune, more or less. Just listen to the sound. I mean, I can't really play this violin in tune until I know, even first position, it's in a very strange place, okay? So that doesn't bother me, I can't be bothered by things like that. So you've got to be sort of a little bit more wise about it, I think, rather than be very upset that you're playing out of tune. That's not the point. What sound is it making? I mean, is it doing what you want it to do? The best people are really people that know a lot about violins, which is violin shops. Because, my goodness, they deal in thousands and thousands of violins. And their expertise is kind of second to none, really. So there you are. I don't know if I've really helped you because it's not ABC. There's a lot of luck involved, but there's also being flexible and keep your ears very, very fresh. So anyway, that's it. Good luck with your violin search, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.